So yeah, this is our 25th episode of our each one teach one session. It's quite obvious that learning is an experience. Everything else is just information. So today's our topic is on ShadowDOM and Lightning Web Component styling hooks. A brief story about it. Our target audience are developers, and this is gonna be our agenda for today. We'll discuss about the ShadowDOM in Lightning Web Components. As we all know, Lightning Web Components they don't follow the actual the normal DOM model. It follows Shadow DOM. So, and the design variations of the base components that we have in SLDS already. Then we'll discuss about the CSS custom properties and different and things in CSS custom properties. Then we'll see how to develop a component as a mobile responsive component. So this is our today's agenda. So what is a shadow DOM? So before we even know about shadow DOM, let's understand what is a lightning web component. A lightning web component is a web component where which helps us design the forms or any UI that we want can be developed using a lightning web component, and these web components they internally follow shadow DOM model. So shadow DOM. So a shadow DOM is a web API that provides a way to attach a hidden DOM into the DOM element. I can explain this better in our next slide. So this is our actual DOM model. So if you look at this, there will be this is a, here we have a HTML and then a head will be implemented, then body, and any styles will go into this head part of the DOM model. Let's say in this DOM model, you wanted to. I mean, if you keep writing your HTML in the DOM, in the plain DOM, there will be too many lines of code in it. So we can actually encapsulate instead of writing too many lines of code in the same component. We can actually encapsulate it, and that is what our shadow DOM does. So let's say now I have this div element in our normal DOM model, and into this div element, uh, I want to pass some form. Instead of putting the whole code related to that form in this div, what we can do is we can create a separate component and we can attach it to this div, and that is our shadow DOM element. So the parent of the shadow DOM element is the shadow host. Then anything that goes into the shadow host will be your shadow root. So shadow host, um I mean, the hierarchy of this shadow DOM elements will be shadow host, and then there will be a shadow boundary created. Then inside it, uh, there will be a tree, a shadow tree created. This is called a shadow tree, and inside the shadow tree, there will be your shadow root. Shadow root, as in the code that is present in your template, is your shadow root. So this is a brief explanation about shadow DOM. And as I said, this encapsulates the markup, behavior, and CSS. So in CSS, we can have different, I mean, like the values, I mean, the properties or anything that we define for any HTML element, they will be cascaded. And also the properties that we define can be inherited based on how we define those. A short example of understanding the cascading and inheritance in CSS. So let's say this is my HTML code. What I'm doing here is we have an h1 tag in which we have this heading, and there is a div where the body of the template goes. So this is our text. Now how do we understand which one is a cascaded value here and which one is an inherited value here? So for H1, I've given the text color as red, and also I've given as green. So how? So here in this demo pic here, it is taking green. Why is it taking green? That's because the style has got overridden there, and since it is taking the value directly of this particular class or the element, that's a cascaded value. And inherited value, how do we say that it has inherited a particular property? In the second, in this body of the component, what have we done? We have this div, and there is some paragraph tag for our text. So now what I have done is I'm giving some text color for the div element instead of giving for the paragraph tag. So whatever goes inside this div uh, will get the CSS inherited by the div that, uh, the CSS that we have defined for the div element will be inherited by the child elements of the div. So here our paragraph and span tags are the child elements of this div, right? So now I have given the color of this div as blue. So the text that you see here, it has got blue and also orange. So the blue one has completely inherited the property of the div. But what I've done, again, why is this particular each one has taken the color orange? That's because we have explicitly said I want this particular span element data to be in orange color. Though we have though span is a child of that particular div, we are overriding the style of that inherited value with some cascaded value, and that's why we have this in orange color. So that's the difference between inherited values and the cascaded value.
Okay. So
And
you're
then,
saying this itself is a basic component that you're explaining is what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
yes. This is a very basic of the UI. Before we even dive into the CSS part, if we have a better understanding on how ShadowDOM works, like why they have ShadowDOM and why don't LWC is following actual DOM model, I'm trying to explain this part first, and then we'll dive into CSS.
Got it. Got it. So this itself is the basic you're trying to bring in to say, okay, this is how DOM works. This is an example of that, and then we'll dive into how CSS will come into picture to enhance or improve or yeah, whatever the rest of the topics that we cover.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
All right, fair enough. Basically, UI improvement is what we're going to look at after the basics.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So left side is the DOM and right side is
Yeah, this is our actual DOM model. That's our HTML, the plain DOM model, which any browser would support. So why did they want to go into this Shadow DOM? Like Shadow DOM is not designed for LWC or Salesforce alone. There is this concept called Shadow DOM, um, where Vanilla JS actually uses this Shadow DOM model. So why did they even want to go into the Shadow DOM? That's because, as in, in Apex or in normal coding, how do we follow some object-oriented concepts? The similar way in HTML also we have this object-oriented concept. We follow this object-oriented concept encapsulation. Instead of writing too much of code, let's say, let me bring this.
By the way, for non-technical people who are wondering a few things here, DOM is document object model.
Uh, let's say there is this screen, which actually has too many components in it. Why should we have this too many all this different components? We can have them like initially when the browsers were developed, and when there was this markup language, all the pages that were developed were document centric, as in they were like on clicking some link, only then you will be able to navigate to, let's say, I have I have this component over here and this component. I cannot put them all in a single page then. But now it has got advanced that there are single page applications that we do develop. A very famous example for the single page application is our Wikipedia web page. If you look at Wikipedia web page, also this one that we see here is a single page application. Why I say that this is a single page application is, um, there is all kinds of information that you can see on the single page. You don't need to navigate to some other screen or to any other URL on clicking this or that. And this doesn't also look very messy to any user. This gives a better user experience than the document centric model there. So when I talk about components over here, this is a separate component, and this is a separate component. This is a separate component. We have different components over here placed on a single page. So how are we even embedding these components? Like, how are we even placing this component on this particular screen, only at this place? To do this, initially when there was this markup language designed, how we used to do is we used to write some coding. I think this is clear. I mean, if you find it confusing, just let me know. I can explain you better in by coding or giving a demo. How do we do? We, as I said here in this screen, we have this. We write the form. I mean, we embed the form element into this particular div. Like, we write all sorts of, I mean, like, we write every input element that goes into that form, and everything will be written inside this DOM in the normal DOM model. But when it comes to shadow DOM, what we do is we create a separate component, and we just call that component inside this div element. I'll show this later in our demo, but for now, just remember this point, that how are we calling a separate component inside this particular div element? Yeah, and we encapsulate. So what do we encapsulate using Shadow DOM? We encapsulate the HTML code and the CSS styling and the behavior of how this particular component works. The behavior of the component too, we encapsulate. The difference between inherited value and the cascaded value, as we discussed earlier, is the inherited, I mean, any styling that's given on the parent element will be inherited by its children. But if we want to override the inherited value, then we give a separate CSS for that element, or we can declare a class and we can give that. I'll show this also later in our demo session. So now, why is LWC not following uh, native Shadow DOM? That's because Salesforce, I mean, this native Shadow DOM is not supported in a few browsers. Example, in Edge, that's not supported, and that's why they use this Shadow DOM polyfill. So polyfill is that is for shadow root, and this is made for LWC. This is designed for LWC only to meet the performance goals of the Lightning platform. So this uses, I mean, LWC in Salesforce, it uses Shadow DOM polyfill. Let's have a look at the demo of what we discussed just now. So this is something that I was trying to show. So what have I done here? I'm just giving some styling for the H1 element and the div. So what will happen now is, for the H1 element, we are giving the red, and then we are overriding it with green. So our H1 should be in green color, and for the div we are giving a blue color. So any text or anything that goes inside this div will be in blue color. I'm not specifying anything for this span tag over here. So That's what we see here. But let's say I want to override this styling over here. So what do I do? So I'll just override this style. We'll give a separate CSS for the tag alone. And now when we refresh the screen, we should be able to see this. So that's uh, this is our cascaded value. So cascading, the term cascading means um, anything that is given to the parent will be acquired by the children there.
Is it inherited or cascaded? You
No,
have
cascade. No, it's not acquired. It's like it just takes whatever is defined on the parent element. The inherited value uh,
That's
means
I think you have given the
acquired.
meaning for inherited.
Yeah, yes, the acquisition is done on this one, on this paragraph tag here. So now let's see different design variations. What does it mean by design variations? So on the Salesforce provided base lightning components, the Salesforce provided base lightning components, or let's say a lightning button or a lightning badge or a lightning progress indicator, anything that is given by SLDS or called base lightning, or called the Salesforce given uh, base components. So we have the option of applying different design variations on the base lightning components. So how do we give, I mean, how is this design variation done there? Let's see a short demo of that too. Let's say I'm having this lightning button over here, on which we'll have some label. Yes. So now the color of this button is white. This is the default color that Salesforce gives us when we use their lightning component. I want to add some variation to this. How do we do that? We add this variant attribute, and on this one there are certain values defined. Let's use this brand. So what does this variation do for us is it will give a different background color, and the text color also will be changed when we use this particular variant value. So this is how this is the design variation that we do. The design variations are done on the default lightning components. The different values on this would be neutral, brand, and destructive, error. There are a few which you can get from this help doc.
In that variant values, do we have custom also? Like, I mean,
Yeah, to add a custom styling, we'll have to write CSS for that.
okay.
So the design variation does only the styling that is given in the lightning button. Any lightning component it can be.
Okay, thank you.
So these are the different variations that we have. Let's say now, if we want to add any customs, I don't want any of these colors. Let's say I want to add some gray, some other color, maybe yellow. So how do we do that? We write it in our CSS. We call it host, And inside this one, to do that, uh, there will be an LDS, sorry. There will be this help doc provided by Salesforce, which can help you with the different, I mean, to design it in your custom way. So now I wanted to change the background color of my button over here. I want to give it some yellow color. So what do I do? We come to this document, and we'll go to the styling hooks, and then we'll copy whatever the variable that we want to change. I want to change the background color. So there are different categories on this. Now, uh, so currently, what is my lightning buttons variant? It is neutral. Let me add a brand. On this brand button, I want to give a different color. So I'll just copy this particular CSS custom property. These are called custom properties. Let's have this here. Um, Now I want to give a different styling for this using those custom properties. So how do I do it? I haven't used a host element here. I was using a class on this outline, like any CSS that we want can be added over here. But what is missing? Lightning homepage. This should be correct. Okay. So now I'm adding, I'm trying to change the text color of the button. I'm trying to change the color of the button when we hover over that button, and the the border of the button, the border color of the button, and the background color, and also when we hover, what should be the background color and the border color. So I'm trying to change all these on this lightning button. Let's place this in our org. So if you can see, the color of this button is now changed. What was the variant that we used? We used this brand outline variant. But how could we do this? We have added this custom properties. So this way we can customize the base lightning components. Coming back to our slide, that's what this point actually explains here. Lightning button supports design variations. I mean, this is just an example, but any base lightning component that you take, they support design variations. But to add any custom property, that should actually be discussed here. But since someone asked, I've explained it there itself. Then, so CSS custom properties. What are CSS custom properties? So again, when we normally look at a normal coding like in Java or Apex or anywhere, what do we follow there? We actually follow. I mean, the main thing that any developer, any person would look at is the reusability of the code. So implementing that reusability in our CSS. So how can we actually reuse a CSS? Let's say now, in the previous example that we have seen, I'm hardcoding. I mean, I'm defining the color right at the variable itself. I don't want to give it this way because I may want to use this color in many different places, on many different components. In that case, what do we do? I mean, if we are defining it at this level, we'll have to maybe change it in all these classes wherever we have it, right? So to avoid that, what can we do is we can just declare it at the host element. The host will be our top level element. Host and root, I mean, the top level element is the root, and after that we can use it on host as well. Host is basically present on the ShadowDOM component. So here uh, we give let's say my text color. I want to change my text color. What do we do? We give a color over here, and how do we use it? Sorry, yeah. And here we call it with this name. This way, we do the reusability of the custom of the CSS properties. And now I can add it wherever I want. And if I want to change the color of this on all the places that I have used this particular color, we can just change it over here and it gets applied for us.
Cool.
So the text color of this has got changed to yellow. Is that visible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. And scoping. So how do we scope weight? I mean, what are the different scopes that we have in CSS? We have we have them global scoped, element level scoping, and class level scoping, and the host level scoping. Global scoped is nothing but we scope it. I mean, on the root element, we give we give some stylings. That's our global scoping. Like so it gets applied on all the elements that we have. This is again the same lightning design system which explains you about this. So element level scoping. Let me explain you what is this element level scoping. So element level scoping is, let's say I want to give some styling on this particular element. That's our lightning button. We have, in case we have different things over here. H1, this is a heading. Then we have paragraph element, which says this is a paragraph. Now I want to apply different styling for different elements. So how do we do that? We just call that particular element over here and we apply a style for that. I'm giving I'm giving the text color as green for the H1 tag. And for the paragraph element, I want it to be in black, but let's add some background maybe for this. maybe yellow. Let's say I am having another h1 tag here. This is heading tag. Okay, so what should happen here in this case? Because we have done this element level scoping, the color of the h1 element will be green wherever you use this h1 element. So if we deploy this, so everywhere, I mean, is this clear, or do you want me to zoom out? Oh no, it's not actually working that way. So now the text color of both the h1 elements is green, and the background for the paragraph tag is yellow. Let's say I don't want I mean I want this green color text to be applied only on a particular h1 element. So how do we do that? So then in that case we scope the styling class level. So here we give some class as active, or any name can be given here. Now, how do we apply this color only on that particular h1 element? We just call that, I mean, we call that class and we'll apply the CSS for that only. Now, when we deploy, what should happen? For the first one, the text color should be green, and for the second h1 tag, it should be normal color. That's the default.
You have already.
So this is our class scoping. So these are the different uh, scopes that we have in CSS. I mean, the scoping is done in these different levels. Um, and point to be remembered is it's case sensitive. Then this can penetrate ShadowDOM. This CSS custom properties can penetrate ShadowDOM. So now in lightning components, this is one hook that I was actually showing in our previous demo, that like how do we customize the base components. That's one point which we have already covered. Now let's look at the design tokens. So how do these design tokens work? Before we even go there to the design tokens, let's look at a piece of code here. Let's say I'm just now what do we have in our HTML? We just have two div elements with some text in it. This is our first div and this is our second div. Let's add this to our layout. I'm removing this so it won't be confusing. So this is our component now. How do we use this design tokens? Design tokens also or the same way, like when you want to do a reusability of your CSS custom properties, we can go for design tokens here. Now, in our previous example, what have we done? We just have used a class and we have given some styling for for an element or a class level or wherever we want. And how did we reuse it? Uh, we have declared some custom properties at the host element, and we are reusing it. Let's say I want to, I mean, if we are reusing it in this, I mean, if we define any custom properties in the component, they are only to that component level. I don't want to have it to this component level. I want to use the same properties um, in all the in different components wherever I want to. So to as a solution for that, we this design tokens are introduced. So how do we do that is we create all our
Could you
design
come
tokens
again,
from
Sushma?
here.
Could you come again?
Yeah, yes. So in our previous example, what did we do to reuse the custom properties? We have declared this custom properties at the host element, and we are reusing it here in this particular component. Now I want to use this text color in this another component. So here, if I want to use on this particular main one, on this particular div, I cannot call it. I cannot access this this component CSS, right?
Yes, yes.
So to do so, what do we do is we create design tokens. Design tokens from here. We have two different types of design tokens. SLDS tokens and Aura design tokens. First, let us see the Aura design tokens. Now, what we are seeing are the Aura design tokens. We'll create a token bundle, a lightning bundle here, named default tokens. This is already there. Okay. So we create this default tokens. Then inside this one, we'll give whatever the tokens that we want. These are the tokens are nothing but the variables that we actually want to use in our CSS. So now I've declared two variables, that's our tokens. I've created two tokens, one for the text color and the other for the background color. um, how do I access this Aura design tokens in my LWC? The default tokens, they automatically take, I mean, the name default tokens actually is accessible by default. We don't need to explicitly say get this particular token from that particular token bundle. We don't need to say anything like that. That's automatically taken. So here I'm applying some styling on this particular div. This is the main div too. So I'm adding the background color and I'm changing the background color and the text color. So how do we call this Aura design token is, um, we'll will give this C, which indicates that this is a custom property, and the other part uh, indicates the name of that custom property. That's this my background color, the name of the token. This is the name of the token, and this is just a namespace to indicate that this is a custom property. Then for text color also, how did we define a token is this my text color, and we just call my text color, and this is the namespace. Now when we deploy this, you'll see that magic that we just did. Oh, sorry. The text color should be yellow. So as we have given in the aura tokens, we have the background color as black and the text color is yellow. So it's easy to use this way. Now let's say I don't want to have all these tokens in the same default tokens component. I want to have them stored in a different token bundles. Since we have only one or two here, we have them inside this default tokens. But when there are too many, we can have them defined in a different way. I have already defined a few. So for the text color, what I have done is, yeah. So for the text color, I have I have created a custom token bundle which has this text color in it. Now, but but the custom token bundles are not accessible directly. How do we do those? We extend we extend that particular token bundle here, and then we'll be able to access it. So how do we extend? We just use this keyword extends, and then we'll call that component my text color tokens. Now if you notice this, it still remains the same. See, the background color is not changed and the text color also is not changed. Um, let's say I have some 2 to 3 different token bundles, and how do we use it? We cannot use them by separating the components with a comma here. So how do we do that? Let's create another custom token bundle for the background color. Here in this one, I'm gonna have this I'm saving it. But as I said, we cannot extend multiple token bundles. So how do we do that then? Here comes this inheritance, like not inheritance, we'll extend it in the child component. We'll extend this my bg color in this text color. And this way, we can access multiple custom token bundles from our default tokens. So if you see this, if you notice this, this still remains the same. So this is a brief demo on our Aura design tokens. Now let's see the SLDS tokens, SLDS design tokens. So what are these SLDS design tokens? SLDS design tokens are again the tokens that are given by Salesforce to us. So which are actually accessible from their official website. So there's a limitation actually on this SLDS design tokens. Not a limitation, but it's kind of a point to be remembered point. So these are our SLDS design tokens. So what all can be accessible here are only the globally available ones. This generally available ones. Any token that has this GA support, they are accessible for us in our LWC components. So now we have this another div which is named main, and let's say we want to give a background color and we want to apply some styling here. So how do we access this one? Let's say for this background, I wanted to use some color. I think I've already used color background highlight. Okay, just to explain you how to access it, I'm gonna use this internal one only, or we'll go with GA. Yeah.
What is the difference between this GA and internal now here?
GA ones are accessible globally by anybody, but the internal ones, these are accessible only to the Salesforce employees. Only to the people who are in that company. Yeah, let's add this color. I think this is the one that I was using previously. Yeah. So the color has got applied there. So that's how we use our SLDS design tokens and Aura design tokens. Let's say you want, there is this another point. Now we have this, we have this default tokens here. Let's say we want to use this default tokens in our Aura applications. How do we do that? If we are using this default tokens in our Aura application, we can directly extend. We don't need to call it in a default token bundle and then access it. We can directly call it in the application by using the keyword tokens. Let's create an application. Demo application. Now here I want to apply this tokens, the custom tokens. So here we can use multiple custom tokens by using a comma separator value. So how do we do that? My text color tokens, my BG color tokens. Was there any question?
Yes. Can you tell me the difference, like why we are using, means why we are able to use the comma separated here and not in there? Is it not
No,
same?
this is just supported only in Aura application, the Lightning applications,
Not in
but
our
not
application.
in tokens. It is supported. That's
Oh,
why.
okay.
Let's call the component that we have just created. In LWC. And I'm removing all these extensions over here. Now let's preview this application.
Should be small c.
Small c, yeah.
No, this is capital only.
No, before that C colon double.
Oh, sorry, that one. Okay. So yeah, that's how we use it in Lightning applications. Let's change the color. Maybe some green. what was the background? It's black. Okay. And for the background, let's make this green and let's make this text black. Yeah. So that's how the design tokens work.
So is it multiple inheritances working here in application, but not in tokens,
But
right?
not in tokens. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Um, I just have one last point, one last topic: the mobile responsiveness. Let's discuss this, and I think we'll be good with our session for today. I have these two components over here, which actually are mobile responsive. So how do we make a component mobile responsive? There are two ways to make a component act mobile responsive. One is using the SLDS classes, and the other is using media queries. So how do we do that using SLDS classes is what? Let's first see how do we do that using SLDS classes. I have a piece of code already written here. I think this one. Here we are using the SLDS classes. So there are different SLDS classes to say, I mean to give the size of the device. Like let's say SLDS size. I mean, the class that has this SLDS size will say that this is for smaller devices, and this large size, this will indicate that this styling is for larger devices. And let's say for tabs, we have, I mean, larger devices or the desktop use, and the smaller devices or the mobile use. Now for the medium size, which are our tabs, how do we I mean, the class that we have for this is SLDS medium size, and here I wanted it the same way that we have on desktop, 6 of 12. I mean, we can design it the way we want. The numbers that I give here, how do we give those? This is the maximum number and this is the minimum number. So how does it calculate the screen size, and how does it actually place your components is, for this, let's take this one only as example. uh, it calculates it this way: 12 by 6, which is 2. So what will it do is, it will divide your component uh, and place it in two halves of the screen. And if you want to make it occupy the whole screen, then you give 12 of 12 or 1 of 1. Anything is supported. If you want to make it occupy 1/3 of your screen, you can just say 1 of 3. If you want to occupy 1/4 of the screen, 1 of 4, 1 of 6. This way it works. Now I have now I have developed it to occupy uh, two of the desktop screen. I mean, half of the desktop screen, and the full occupancy on the mobile screen, according to this classes. And on the uh, tablet also, that's the medium size screen also, we use, I've given 1 of 6. Let's test this. I mean, I'll show you, so you'll get the difference.
So are you giving this to the parent div tag, or
Yeah,
each?
we'll give it on the parent div tag. So this is my actual UI here, right? So what have I done? I have I've divided the component into two halves, and I'm placing this first name and last name in the first div, in the first part of the div, and in the second part of the div, I'm having a phone element. Now I want to place this phone element below this name on the mobile screen. So how does that happen? I mean, what am I doing is I'm trying to place the divs that are side by side in the mobile screen. How am I placing that is I'm placing them one after the other, one below the other. This is my previous code. So if you see, the div has got placed below this name. To test it on the medium screen, this should actually be the medium screen. Yeah, on the medium screen also we have it divided into two halves according to my previous code. Let's refresh this. It is occupying 1 of 6. And we have them still placed one after, sorry, wait. This is the tablet view, yeah. We have it, I mean, we have given this class only on this one and not on this inner div, and so we don't see them. I mean, the phone is still occupying the full screen. So that's how we do the styling on mobile using the SLDS classes. Now let's see how do we do that using media queries. So using media queries, what do we do is we'll just this is the syntax. We write this @media and then the max width, which means till this pixels. These are the stylings that get applied. That's how it is designed. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to build a table which is mobile responsive. Uh, so how should my table appear to me when it is on mobile? On the desktop, it is a normal table, and on the mobile, I want to make it look like a card. I don't want it as a table. So how do we do that using media queries? So first I have this. If we're using a table tag, we cannot make things responsive there. So we write our custom table. We design the table. We use it using the div tags. So the parent will be with the class table, and then we'll write a header div, then this body div. This body div will be visible only uh, on your desktop screen, and this body div will be visible only on your mobile screen. So when it crosses this pixel, will hide the mobile div and will display the desktop div. So how do we hide it? So I used this class called mobile div over here, which has this display as block. So when we use this display block, it gives us in card, and we can apply any styling for the mobile screens, and however we want we can style it. Yeah, that's about our CSS. Any questions? I know I've taken too long, but still, if you have any questions, yeah.
Oh, it's good, Sushma.
Cool. Thank you. This is all. Thank you, Slide.